Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I'm a public defender, so I have oodles of stories about crazy people. My favorite is the one where the client wanted me to argue that he hadn't endangered anyone because the pipe bomb missed the window he threw it at and landed next to and partially blew up an unrelated occupied apartment. But that's completely irrelevant. This is the story of the idiot, let's call him Speedy, and his idiot father. By way of background, this was my first day without supervision in a tiny firm. 2 partners and part-time me. Doing public defense for misdemeanor cases. I was a baby lawyer just out of a boring research job and eager to get my boots on the ground. I've been shadowing one of the partners for the previous week, and he figured he could take a long breakfast that morning. This was a Monday with 17 pre-trials scheduled with our firm. In my state, a pre-trial is a first court date. It's a meeting between me and the prosecutor to figure out any discovery issues, getting all the evidence from the other side, and propose resolutions prior to trial. Then I talk to the clients and then we go into the courtroom and announce whether we're accepting the prosecution's offer. If that little firm had its ducks in a row, I would have had police reports beforehand to review. I would have called all the clients to introduce myself and get a sense of how they wanted to approach this case. That didn't happen. Partner ate files. They mysteriously disappeared whenever he had them, and really didn't give a hoot about the clients. Hired clients get a deluxe cheeseburger, assigned clients get the patty without a bun. It was so bad that I quit after a year and set out on my own. That was 5 years ago, and I have no regrets. So I had about 10 minutes that morning to read 17 police reports and review whether their 17 offers were good enough based on what could actually be proven. Then I had a judge breathing down my baby lawyer's neck to get everyone talked to within an hour of starting the client meeting part. About 3 minutes per person. Yes, disgusting. So I could get the courtroom part done in time for him to go to lunch. Most of the clients were understanding. Public defenders get a bad rap because of firms like that one, so they were eager to get their lawyer time and wanted to use it effectively. I also ran well over the hour and played up the first day pity points to get the judge to step back a bit. So it was more like 10 minutes per person that day, until 16 of 17. It's always near the end, isn't it? Speedy walks in, 17 years old and looking kind of methy. I start to close the door, but his whale of a father and pucker-mouthed mother push it open. Sorry sir, but I need to speak to Speedy alone.
Like hell you will. He's an idiot, you moron.
Damn, I missed that in my 40-second skimming of his reports. I didn't have the authority to exclude the parents. I apologized and urged them to remain outside. You see, much of the time kids have already told their parents idiotic lies that get completely disproved by solid evidence like video. If they are on their own, you can calmly explain what the evidence is and whether it makes a strong or weak case for the prosecution. Then you can discuss options. If their parents are looming over them, however, they will stick to their story like a junkie claiming he will pass a drug test. Of course, the parents stayed. I then got about 20 minutes of pure idiot father yelling at me, insulting me, and insisting that the police officer had a grudge against Speedy and had been making things up for years. Typical entitled parent explanation for their entitled kid's juvenile record. I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and the idiot's father was actively stopping Speedy from saying anything when he tried to pipe up. I was watching the clock knowing that my first day pity would only go so far with the judge. I finally channeled partner's lack of crap, pulled some theatrics, and ended up shooting the idiot father into semi-submission, for the day at least. The entire time during this and every other meeting, Speedy just sat there with a smug smile on his face. I don't think I ever heard the mother speak. You see, Speedy was charged with drag racing. In this state, that's a misdemeanor that can get you up to 6 months in jail and/or up to 2 years of probation and over $2,000 in fines. The prosecutor was offering reckless driving, a civil infraction with no jail or probation, and $500 in fines, 6 points on a license. Either way, it was a pretty sweet deal if Speedy was guilty, and the firm had no fear of taking things to trial even if the case was weak. The issue was that dashboard-mounted cameras exist, and police use them. After hearing the same story 50 times about how Speedy was just hanging out with his friends to work on cars when a jerk-faced police officer pulled up and arrested him for no reason, I had the audacity to ask about the half-dozen random citizens who lived on a street. I called the police to complain that a car matching Speedy's, including his plate number and being a different color than any of his friends, was repeatedly racing back and forth and stopping at the gravel lot where Speedy was arrested. Well, obviously I'm an idiot and incompetent for not believing my client over the cop and knowing nothing about cars because Speedy's friend was there and he was racing, not the precious, innocent chirrup that is Speedy. Of course, Speedy's friend's car was nearly identical to Speedy's and was parked right there, and the idiot cop ignored it because of his vendetta. I asked for the friend's name, and I've got nothing. The idiot father didn't want to get the non-existent friend involved for non-existent reasons. When I repeated the thing about the plate number and pointed out that the mystery friend would have had a different number, I got more yelling and vague conspiracy theory about the cop convincing people to lie for him to get Speedy into trouble. Yeah, your idiot son is big enough to fabricate criminal charges. Totally. It was about 2 minutes into the fresh tirade when I pulled out my laptop. Again, dashboard-mounted cameras exist, and police use them. And I'd done my job and gotten the recording first thing that morning. I started playing the video without saying anything, and the idiot father miraculously shut up to watch it. The cop had quietly pulled in next to one of the complaining citizens' houses and waited for the next round of the race. Sure enough, Speedy's vomit orange vintage Camaro came flying by after a few seconds of roaring engines along with some silver blur. The cop waits for the return trip and pulls out, sirens and lights blaring. They were over 100 feet away by the time he pulled out, gotta go fast. And the camera was pretty grainy, so it didn't catch the plate. It did catch the color and the big racing stripe down the middle, and Speedy, being the genius that he is, took a reckless turn, and the cop lost sight of him for about 2 seconds, right at the end before the gravel lot where everyone else was waiting. By the time the cop pulled in, Speedy was already out of his car and yelling about how the cop couldn't prove anything. The silver blur kept going, and some say it's still going to this day. Back in the real world, the idiot father started back up by vehemently agreeing with Dashcam Speedy that there was no proof Speedy was driving. I clicked into no crab mode and had what I call the look moment. Look, are there any other bright orange cars there? What about that friend you told me about? Speedy's Camaro is the only bright orange car there, isn't it? How about the dust literally settling around his car and smoke pouring out of his engine plug like it's on fire? How about him immediately yelling about the cop not being able to prove anything before the cop even got out of his car? Your story is just nonsense. Until we manage to fill the jury box with mentally ill idiots, they'll see this video and find your son guilty, and he'll have a criminal record. They don't even need them, but I bet the jury will believe those random witnesses who've never met your son and have no reason to lie to. You're not helping anything, and I have another client to talk to. Take the ticket or set it for trial. I am not an idiot. I don't believe you. And it's not my job to believe you. It's my job to evaluate the facts and do the best thing for your son and try to keep him out of jail. If you go to trial and tell these stupid lies, the judge will know it because he's not an idiot either. He'll know your son is a reckless liar and he'll put him in jail to teach him a lesson. Not quite screaming, but very loud and very clipped and enunciated. The voice of "I'm done with your crab authority." But they didn't arrest the other driver, so this proves that the cop was targeting my son. The other guy left. So Speedy and his idiot father refused to talk to me anymore. Great. The last client went smoothly, possibly because of the shouting. I'm a bit of an emotionless monster, so it didn't affect my demeanor with the next guy other than them being extra nice. The case was set for trial and partner handled Speedy's case without me until he had his own look moment. Then we worked it together because the idiot father hated both of us equally. It turns out that Speedy already had 10 points on his license for a mix of speeding and reckless driving offenses. Go figure. You lose your license in this state when you get 12 points. Back then, to get the license back, you had to wait a year and pay over $1,000 in driver responsibility fees. They have since dropped the fees. Thank you, Corn. Speedy was also an aspiring mechanic. Go figure. No garage would hire a mechanic who couldn't drive to check cars. So Speedy absolutely could not get any more points on his license, so it would ruin his perfect little life. Speedy was obviously a prodigy mechanic. Just look at how fast his car was. So we actually held that trial. It lasted one full day, prosecution in the morning, defense in the afternoon, and the idiot father tried to insist on testifying, but the lawyers get to make any decisions that don't affect the fundamental right of the client. Otherwise, I would have had to file that irrelevant motion from back in the first paragraph. The idiot father didn't testify. Unfortunately, the right of the defendant to testify is a fundamental one. So we couldn't stop Speedy from telling the same idiotic story he told his parents the night they bailed him out. The fun part was the prosecution's case. A random person who lived next to the gravel lot had been taping the races on his phone. The guy popped up after it was clear that the prosecutors would have to try the case, so they sent out officers to canvass the neighborhood for better witnesses. They got pretty lucky with that one. He even caught the end of the last race, complete with an excited, "Oh crap, boy, you screwed up," when a cop was walking up and Speedy started yelling about proof. Yes, we got that before trial, and yes, Speedy and his idiot father didn't care because Speedy couldn't lose his license, was totally innocent, and couldn't risk his amazing career as a prodigy mechanic. The new video didn't clearly show the license plate or Speedy's face, so it obviously didn't mean anything, and we useless public defenders had to do our damn jobs and just prove it was somehow the still unnamed friend. Both my partner and I tried many times to explain how stupid this argument was. We did our best to defend this idiot. As predicted, the jury found him guilty before I could finish my post-closing cigarette. At sentencing, the judge tore him a new one about his casually remorseless attitude towards public safety, refusing to take responsibility, and a juvenile record filled with traffic offenses and a few assaults. There was a lengthy speech about risking the lives of children playing in their front yards, including a graphic story from a vehicular manslaughter case that the judge had presided over years earlier. Speedy got 3 months in jail, the full 2 years of probation, maximum fines, and no special status for his age. It was very hard not to take out my phone to get a picture of his face when he heard his sentence, the moment his smug grin finally dropped, but that would be unprofessional. The idiot father took exception to this previously corrupt result of a lying police officer persecuting his innocent son and made that known to the court. Broadly, contempt of court is a criminal charge that carries up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. I sincerely hope that those two learned something in those 3 months. Until I looked up Speedy's name in the system a year later and saw that he ended up serving an extra 3 months on that case and caught felony charges. I asked the partner I was and am still friendly with if he knew anything. Apparently Speedy went to one of his probation meetings drunk and tested positive for meth. The police were called. They searched the puke moped that he wasn't supposed to be driving in the parking lot and found meth and paraphernalia. It was actually pretty sad. The idiot father had kicked him out as soon as he turned 18. He was living out of that Camaro when he violated probation. Pretty weird for someone who had been so protected a year earlier. My guess is that the idiot father blamed Speedy for getting him locked up. Speedy took the misdemeanor offer on his new case, got another year of license suspension, got his fines erased due to indigence, and went to court-ordered rehab with aftercare. I feel sorry for Speedy and truly hope he got clean and started walking a better path. He was a product of his environment, which left him completely unable to live on his own when it came time to do so. I hope the dad has died or will die in a fire, or maybe drowning in industrial rinse acid. You pass out pretty quickly from the fumes of a fire, so the searing pain would last longer with the acid. Yeah, he definitely deserves the acid. That may seem harsh, but with what I know now about abusive relationships, the real nightmare fuel was a silent mother. Definitely the acid. This one happened a few months ago at the airport in Madrid, Spain. I witnessed it, but I'm not directly involved with this. I was seated near a gate well in advance for my flight. The previous flight to use the gate was still boarding its last passengers. It was a pretty short one to Lisbon, so probably less than an hour flight time. Textbook Karen with her suitcase, going straight to the counter, and without any formal politeness start complaining to one of the two gate agents. The conversation was more or less, "I know you have a free seat in first. The airline publishes seat maps online. I'm a loyal member of your airline. Can you upgrade me?" She slams a card on the counter. The agent tells her, "I'm sorry, but I cannot randomly upgrade people. Plus, you have an economy basic ticket. Even if I could, we would upgrade any standard economy passenger before you. Finally, this is a silver card. While we do have gold and platinum members on this flight, that we would also upgrade first." You have to note that European airlines typically do not automatically upgrade passengers as in the US. Also, the difference between first and economy is usually not that much. Seats are the same, but in front of the plane with a plugged middle seat and slightly better food. That's it. "They have already boarded. If you don't upgrade me, I won't use this airline ever again." Gate Agent 2 makes an announcement about the final call for passengers that Karen ignores completely. The agent tells her, "Ma'am, I repeat that I don't have the power to upgrade anyone per airline policy. It would not be fair to those who actually paid for the ticket. The seat is free. I'm sure you can make an exception." Once again, I cannot, but I would recommend you to board now. "So, you will upgrade me, right?" The agent annoyed. "For the third time, this is not something I can do. You are the last passenger we are waiting for. Can you please go to the gate?" She yells now. "I won't move from this counter until you upgrade me." You should really. "Unless you're telling me I'm upgraded, I don't have to hear about it." Alright. Passes like 1 or 2 minutes. "So, have you made up your mind and have me upgraded?" "Actually, ma'am, the gate is closed. We are not accepting late passengers anymore. I would suggest you go to the customer service desk to rebook." "What? I have been here for like 10 minutes." "Yes, but you refused twice to board the plane and made it clear that you would not move from this desk until I upgrade you, which I told you 5 times I cannot do. We couldn't delay the plane because of you." "But you should have told me." "I'm sorry, but you made it clear that you didn't want to hear about it if it was not about your upgrade, which once again I cannot do." At this moment, Karen left with, at the same time, a defeated and infuriated look. It was pretty fun to watch, I have to say. I have no idea whether Karen could be rebooked for free, but I hope not. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.